Right, thanks very much, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. Just before I start, just to let you know, I've just got a few slides to take you through to look at the content, and then we'll jump into actually fixing one or two of these nightmare documents. So I'll just share my screen with you. Okay, so taming the nightmare document. So we're going to look at fixing styles, tables of contents, numbering, and references or cross-references to other areas within the document. So, how to rescue broken legal documents in Word 365. And this doesn't only apply to legal documents, this applies pretty much to any structured document, and especially ones where you've got perhaps multi-level numbering and headings. So, some typical things. Clause numbering has gone completely rogue. Table of contents that completely refuse to behave. Cross-references to other areas of the document either don't work or you just simply can't trust them. And styles within documents that actually nobody ever remembers creating. So, why do legal documents break? Fact is, it's not the document, it's generally the history of the document. The key causes are multiple contributors with varying skill levels. People copy and paste from the body of an email, from a PDF, from an old precedent document. People applied manual numbering and also something called direct formatting, which we will look at. Very often, there's no single owner of the document structure. So where a document has been through multiple people's hands, there is no one single sort of version of the truth of what should this document look like. So result of all of this, documents very often, they look correct until you start making changes, and then they start to behave very dangerously. So, golden rules. The thing never to do is never fix the symptoms of the issue before the actual structure of the document. So, correct recovery order. Styles, often styles and numbering are linked. Then correcting your table of contents, then cross-references, and then a final cleanup. Anything else generally just results in double the amount of work later on in the document. So, things to look out for, the warning signs. A heading that looks like text, heading text that looks like it's a heading, but it isn't. Clause numbers that have been manually typed in. Your table of contents suddenly includes random text. Or the flip side of that, your table of contents is missing a really important clause. You see in the body of the document, see clause X. When you update it, it doesn't change. And if you're used to using styles, we open up the styles pane and there's a whole list of mystery entries that we've no idea what they are. So I'll jump out of this presentation and we'll jump into a document that has got a few issues, and we'll look at how we can correct those. So let's escape out of here. So I've got my example lease. It's just called Nightmare Demo. So I've got a very simple cover page. So scroll down, I've got a table of contents. I can already see in my table of contents, I've got a note that says this is a drafting note, delete before it's signed. I've got some random text. I've then got some headings. I can already see my security deposit starts back at 1. Then it picks up my numbering again. Termination is 2 and then down to 7. So immediately I can see this table of contents isn't correct. Just so you're aware, if I hover over this, it shows me that it's a link. So this table of contents, it is a field rather than being manually typed in. So let's go down further into the document. First thing I've found, I've got a random blank page. So one of the things that I will do is up under home, I'll just switch on show all so that I can see, okay, for some reason, there's a section break here, which I'll get rid of. Okay, oops. So I can then see with show hide on, I can see somebody here has pressed tab, I can see, okay, the line spacing in this looks okay. There aren't any blank lines to separate it out. So my first heading, drafting note, delete before signing, and my paragraph. Okay, interpretation 2.1, they look okay. 3 looks okay. 3.1, 2, and 3. 4 is looking okay. Okay. 5 randomly restarts at 1, but my sub-levels continue on at 4.5, 6, and so on. I've got a random bit of new text that's dropped into here. I've got a page break. Let's go a bit further. 5, the heading looks correct. The sub-numbering's not. 6, all looks correct. Let's go a bit further. Then it starts back at 2, but my subclause numbering is correct. 7 looks okay, but the clause numbering underneath it is completely wrong. 7 is my schedule, and the numbering runs on okay, and it looks like that's the end of my document. So, things to look out for just simply using show hide. One is, under miscellaneous, I can see here 6.13, the little dash shows there's a tab. And if I click on 6.13, it highlights it to show me this is shaded. This tells me this is part of an automatic numbered list. 5.10 isn't. The other telltale sign is these dots are somebody's typed spaces here. So 5.10 is just, it's been entered as standard text. So if I go up to 2, again, if I click onto it, I can see that 2, it's shaded. So it is part of an automatic numbered list. I scroll through my document. So it's part of the same numbered list as 1, which is my security deposit, but it's in no way linked to the rest of my headings. So let's just turn show hide on off. So things to look out for. So what I'm going to do is, using my styles up at the top, rather than just using this little styles pane, what I'm going to do is expand out what's called the styles pane. So it's just using this little dialog launcher in the corner. Now, what you will often find is when you open this, it very often opens looking something like this. What you can do with this, though, is just hover over the top of that styles pane, just drag it over to either right or left. I'm just going to drag it off the right. It will dock it into position. So I can now see, built into my document, there's a great big long list of pre-built styles. So I've got a series of body text, some background, intro headings, parties, level 1 to 3 heading, level 4 heading, some level numbering. I've got schedule, part subtitles. I've got some schedule headings and numbers. I've got some appendix, some terms, definitions, some cover dates, some exhibits. So it's got what looks like a really nicely set up set of numbering styles. So what I need to do with this is, first one is my drafting note, delete before signing. This looks like it's just a simple case of it just needed to be deleted. So if I just select this, I can delete this. Okay. My interpretation is correct. It was part of that same numbering. And if I click onto interpretation, in my styles pane, it shows me this is using my level 1 heading. So if I wanted to check, so 1.1 is level 2 number. So with my numbering, level 2 number is clearly linked to my level 1 heading. I scroll through, 2 is level 1 heading. 2.1 is hopefully is level 2 number. So 2.123, that's fine. 3, level 1 heading, that's fine. Now we come down to my security deposit. So when I select security deposit, it's got a different number style. In my styles pane, when I scroll over here, it tells me this is using a style called main heading 1, which isn't linked in any way to my level 1 heading. So if I click onto 3.5, we can see what this is. So 3.5 is level 2 number, hence why this runs on 3.1234, 3.5. It's continuing on this numbered list. So a couple of different options I've got with this. My security deposit is using main heading 1. It could well be. I've got no idea what main heading 1 is. It's obviously been imported or copied and pasted from somewhere else. So if I want to correct this, what I can do is I can select my security deposit. I know that the rest of my headings were using level 1 heading. So if I click level 1 heading, it now corrects that. It becomes 4. My subclause numbering updates now. So 4.1 is correct. However, 3.6, 7, 8, and 9 don't look to be linked. If I click it, it updates. I've also got just some random text here. So if I select this, so this text, and this is typical, I've named it email paste, but this is very typical of what can happen if somebody's copied and pasted something out of an email, pasted it into the document. What it's done is brought in this completely new style that isn't linked to anything else in the document. So if I click onto one that is correct, so this is level 2 number. So this should be 4.6. I can select this. I can say this should be level 2 number. 4.6, the rest of my numbering runs on. Keep going down through the document. 5, if I want to double check, it's level 1 heading. It then uses, okay, A, B, C, D, and E. For some reason, this is now using my parties style, which actually isn't used anywhere else in this document. So if I wanted to correct a whole range of this, what I can do is I can select all of this and select to say this should be level 2 number because it's linked to my level 1 heading. My numbering runs on and it's correct. Let's go a little bit further. Termination. Select this again. This is using that main heading 1 again. Again, this is the wrong style. I'll select this. Again, this should be level 1 heading. My subclause numbering updates. This is now correct. So 7 termination, all of my clause numbering is correct, but I've then got 7 miscellaneous and it then runs to 7.6. So if I click onto the number for miscellaneous, if you notice, when I click the number, it isn't highlighted or shaded in grey. This has been manually entered. The other thing that's happened with this is when I select it, it tells me this is using the level 2 number style. If I click onto one of these, 7.5, which is correct, and if I click the number, that's all part of that same numbered list. However, what's happened with this is something called direct formatting. So at some point in this document's life, sorry, this is also wrong as well, level 3 number. I'll update this. I'll come back to that one. But this one, at some point in this document's life, this was a level 2 number. So it would have been possibly 7.6. But what's happened to it is somebody selected it. Rather than checking which heading level should it should be heading level 1. What they've actually done is they've manually formatted it. So in this case, they've made it bold. They have, with the looks of things, they've gone in and set it to say it's all uppercase. They've manually typed that number in and they've deleted the number. So what they've done, they've directly formatted this text, but it keeps that level 2 number. This is probably one of the most dangerous things that you will find within documents is if I go back to my termination, so 7, level 1 heading, but what Word will let me do is say, actually, I don't want that in bold. I want it in italic. And I might want to apply some shading to it. Now, if I go and find another 6, absolutely fine. This is what my level 1 heading should look like. It's in bold, it's not italic, it's all uppercase, there's no shading. But what Word will let me do is say, well, actually, I'm going to directly format this with italic, with shading, but it still retains level 1 heading. And I could even, let's select this. I can just delete it back. I've deleted the number now. It's still level 1 heading. My 7 is still incorrect. My level 1 heading then moves on to 7 at schedule. So what I will do is I'll reapply level 1 heading, but what I'll have to do is go in and remove that direct formatting that's been applied to it. So going back to my miscellaneous. So first thing that's wrong with this is it's at the wrong level. What I also need to do is I need to delete this manual numbering that's been entered. And the bad news is there is no quick and easy way of doing this. It is a case of I'll have to manually go through, delete that numbering, reset it back to level 1 heading. It's now happier again. It now knows level 1 heading. This should be 8.1. Now let's just check on this. So same things happen with this, 6.3.1. Obviously, at some point, this is where this text was, and somebody has manually entered 6.3.1 to force it to run into those numbers. It is level 3 number, but at some point, somebody has done this. And all I've done is just press backspace and then manually type the number in. So I'll just undo that. Couple of options. You can either select that number and delete it, or you can select it and reapply the correct one. What you would have to do then, though, is correct that structure and delete anything that shouldn't be there. So it is now, he said, as I've deleted the wrong part. Let me delete this and do that again. That's better. So delete my number, reapply my style. That's better. Done exactly the same with 5.1.0. At some point in the document's life, somebody couldn't get this to display the way they wanted it, so they've manually typed 5.1.0. It's then been, for example, copied and pasted. So again, I will delete this and I will reapply my number. Okay, 9 and 9.1 look okay. The rest of it's looking okay. And then I've got my sign off. Okay, so good news, it is relatively straightforward to go through and correct it. Bad news, there isn't a very, very quick way of, in a couple of clicks, I want to repair this document. So I've hopefully got my numbering corrected. So if I go back to my table of contents, and I'll click in my table of contents, I'll right click and I will update field. So I've now got, okay, it's got my headings because the one that was manually typed was missing. I've still got, this paragraph is a note which shouldn't be in here. So let's go back down into my document. And if I select this, so this line, if I look in my styles pane, is its level 1 heading. So again, with this, what's happened at some point in the history of this document is, if I just break this to show you and set that back, and I'll just add some detail in here. So somebody at some point has pressed enter and gone, I don't want that all in uppercase and bold. I'll turn off bold. I will delete that number. I'm going to go in and change the case to sentence case. I don't want it Arial bold. I want it Arial. That's perfect. There we go. I've fixed my document. I'll go and update my table of contents. Now, an important point to note with when you update an automatic table of contents, if it pops up with this option, do you want to just update the table numbers? I always advise never just update table numbers, always update the entire table. Updating page numbers only does literally do that. If a clause has moved to a different page, it will update, but it won't update anything else. So I'll update the entire table. It's still in here. So, and I've now got my next clause details included. Let's go back to my document. So for this is just text that shouldn't be in there. I will delete this. My next clause details, when I select it, it's level 1 heading. What it should actually be is level 2 number. So now, if I go back to my table of contents, I can select it. I can update the field. Okay, my table of contents now runs correctly. So let's go back through our document and see if we can find anything else that's wrong with it. So first thing that we've done is double check which style is the correct top level, sub-level clause numbering style. It's then a case of working your way through, and if you spot anything that doesn't look right, click onto it. You can double check what style is this using. So let's keep going through, and so in here we've got a cross-reference. So see clause 7.2. Now, if I click onto this, just like the page numbering, so when you click, clause numbering, when you click put clause numbering, the gray shading indicates this is an automatic numbering field. With clauses, it should do the same thing. So see clause 7.2 has been manually typed in. That's okay if the clause numbering in this document is never ever going to change. Speaking of clause 7.2, in 7.2, we've then got C clause and a very common one. This error, the reference source is not found. Now, if I click onto it, it does tell me, highlights the whole thing, this is a live cross-reference. And if I hover it, control and click to follow the link. However, it just takes me to the top of the document. The reason it's done that is, let's just scroll all the way back down, bear with me. The reason it's done that is whatever this used to reference now doesn't exist in the document. So here we've got a couple of different things that have gone wrong. 5.2, if I select it, this is linked to a cross-reference. And if I control and click, okay, it's jumped to 6.6. Okay, let's just double check. I'm sure that said C clause 5.2, but when I click it, it goes to 6.6. So I can click it. Because it's highlighted it, if I right click, I can update the field. So what's happened here is 5.2, the document has been updated. The clause that this used to look at is now 6.6. So if I right click and update field, okay, it now goes to clause 6.6. So at some point in the history of the document, somebody's added some more clauses in. What was 5.2, automatic numbering has updated. It's now 6.6. So with your automatic cross-references, just click it. If it's shaded gray, just give it a right click, update field. If your clause numbering has moved, it will automatically update to reference wherever that clause is now in the document if your numbering's changed. Now, coming back to this one, C clause, the reference is not found. The downside with this is whatever this used to link to has either been deleted, or if it linked to, for example, to this, it's no longer a numbered paragraph, and it may be that somebody's just set this back to be something like normal, in which case Word can't find it anymore. So my only option for this would be to work out what should this reference. So, and I'm going to delete this clause because I've got no idea what it used to be. So in this agreement, see the clause for details of permitted use. So if I want to put in an automatic cross-reference, so I'll select where I want it to go into. On the ribbon up at the top, if I go to references, and in my references, just to the right of center, strangely it's under captions, but we've got cross-reference. So when I click onto cross-reference, it then gives me what is it that I want to cross-reference. So is it a numbered item? I just click into here. Is it a heading, a bookmark, a footnote, an endnote? So in this case, it is a numbered item. And what do I want to reference? So do I want to reference the page number, the paragraph number with no context or full context? So the paragraph number, no context or full context would add additional detail. What I just want is I want to link to the paragraph number because I don't need to put the context of what it's in. So I want this to link to, it then gives me all of my numbered headings and subclauses. So I'm going to say I want this to link to, let's scroll a little bit further down in the document. I want this to link to 8.1.2. So select it within here, click insert, and then close. And it's now inserted my new cross-reference. I'll just put a space in there just to, and if I click onto it, it's shaded. If I hover over it, gives me this control and click. Now, if I just go back up a little bit further, we've got the same issue in this one. See clause 7.2, it's been manually keyed in. So we can, again, we can recreate this. So if I delete 7.2, I'll just put a space in. I want to create a cross-reference. Again, it's a numbered item. I want to link to the paragraph number. I now need to go and find 7.2. So I can scroll down and insert my cross-reference. I can close my cross-references. I've now got my correct cross-reference. If I control and click, it jumps to 7.2 in my document, which has got a cross-reference to 8.1.2, which if I control and click, it jumps across. Okay, so first thing that we needed to do is correct those styles where either it hasn't got a style and it's been manually numbered, or it's got the wrong style applied, which in turn corrects our numbering. We can then update our table of contents. Once we're confident, if I scroll all the way back up to my table of contents, once we're confident that we have corrected the styles, and I can just double check, I can update my table of contents, say okay. Okay, I've now got all of my correct headings in the right order. Once I've corrected my numbering, I can go through and I can correct my cross-references. Now that I've got correct numbering everywhere, I can cross-reference all of my clauses, subclauses, etc. Now, something else, just as a bit of a shortcut, so actually I've got one here that should see clause 12.4, which if I remember, doesn't even exist in this document. It doesn't, so I need to relink this one. So let's just find where I was again. I corrected that one, yes. So adding in your cross-references, I've lost where it was, but it's essentially, it's under the references tab, cross-reference. Most important thing though is go through and correct your numbering first, because if you try to reference something, if I change this, and I'm going to set this to be just some body text. But what I might do is I'll just add in a number, 6.1.2. If I wanted to reference this from here, cross-reference, if I scroll through, you probably won't be able to see this brilliantly on my screen. 6.1.2 doesn't exist because it's not got an automatic or a referenced numbering style applied to it. So without correcting those first, you would never be able to correct your cross-references. So I'll just delete that and reset that back to, it was number level 3. Oops, actually it should be number level 2. Okay, now with all my cross-references, my table of contents, etc., rather than keep going backward, oh, there's my 12.4. I'll just delete that and let's add a cross-reference into term of the lease. Let's link this to 4.2 and close this. Now, what I'm going to do, just to show you what I mean with this, if I go in my interpretation, and I'm going to set this as a level 1 heading, just so it moves all of the others. So it now moves all of my numbering down. So where I've got my cross-references, so see clause 4.2 is now 5.2, etc., and so on and so on. So all the numbering has moved on one. Rather than, let's go all the way back up to the top, right-click your table of contents, update field, then scroll through your document, finding your cross-references and update them. If you want to do the whole lot all in one go, so I've corrected my numbering styles. I've now got the correct clause numbering on the correct text. I've updated and corrected my automatic cross-references. What you can do is, from anywhere in your document, keyboard shortcut, Control and A will select the entire document. Another keyboard shortcut is the F9 function key on the top of your keyboard. What that will do, F9 is update all of the fields in this document. So I can say I want the entire table. So it's going to update my table of contents and all of my automatic cross-references all in one go. There it's dropped in my new heading, which I've just added in. And all of my automatic cross-referencing will also all have updated to the new numbering in my document. Okay, so that's one option for correcting your document. And that is, I know that the correct styles do currently exist. It's just people have either applied direct formatting to them or they've pulled in styles that shouldn't be there. Now, I just jump back over to my presentation a second, because there is another option, and I'll just open this up. And it's quite brutal. In the world of Word, it's generally termed, should I nuke this document? And by that, what it means is somebody's made a right mess of this, and effectively I need to splat it and correct it. So what I'm going to do by nuke is, I know I've got a template with all the correct styles within it. There's nothing else in it. What I want to do is import all of them back into this one and overwrite anything that's been changed. So questions to ask. Is the document behaving unpredictably? Are there proper word headings already in use? And if so, have the styles themselves been altered? And is track changes still on, or are they not fully accepted? And this is a really important point. So things to check before effectively you push the big red button. So do this first. Always accept all track changes. If you try to correct a document with track changes on, all track changes does is confirm those changes. that numbering is wrong, the formatting change is wrong, you accept it. You're telling Word, I know it looks wrong, but it's right. So first thing to do is accept all of the track changes, then turn track changes off. So it's not recording you correcting it. Really important one, save a copy of the document. And also confirm that those real heading styles do actually exist in that navigation pane. Things not to do. So don't import styles while track changes is still on. As I say, track changes will record what was wrong with it. Don't expect any fake headings to fix themselves. Don't delete any styles before you reassign them. This won't fix manual numbering. Okay, so let me escape out of this. And what I mean by nuking a document, if I just minimize this one. So I've got a version of my lease, but if I scroll through, as you can see, the font in the table of contents doesn't look right for a start. My headings don't look right. I've got a blank page. First thing that we note with this is, if I go and open up the styles pane, so my level 1. So level 1 heading does exist, and that is, as we'd seen in the previous document, that is the correct style. It certainly shouldn't be this agency FB font. So what's happened with this is 2 is the same, 3 is the same. So what's happened here is it's not so much a case of somebody has applied direct formatting, they've actually changed the style. This often happens where documents either go from one firm to another or they go to a client, because what people will often do is go, that's not in our font, I'll change that. It's an argument to take offline from here. But the thing is, if you didn't create the document, it's not your document. So what someone's done here is, yes, that numbering is correct, that's not the right font. Similarly, my subclauses, I click onto one of these, it is level 2 number, but it's been changed because it's the same throughout the document. Security deposit was the wrong one. That's again using that main heading. But even if I go back and choose level 1 heading, it's pulled some of it back correctly, but most of it is still wrong. So what you can do with this is, in the styles pane, down in the bottom corner, you've got this option, create a new one, inspect it, or you can manage styles. So I'm going to go and manage styles. So this lists, here's all of the heading styles that exist in this document. So does this change apply to this document or new documents based on this template? It's on this document. So what I can do is import/export. So if I go to, these are my current styles. These are the styles in Word's default template, normal. So if I close normal, and I'm going to go and open, and it's not in template, it's in my Digital Academy webinars, it's in Bristol Law Society webinars. Here's my template with my default house styles. I just named it this, it doesn't have to be, but it's just a case of browse to wherever your house style template is, open that, and hopefully in a few seconds, what we should see, there we go. So these are all of the styles that exist in my template. And what I'm going to do is, this is why it's generally called nuke, because what I'm going to do is click the first one, scroll right to the very bottom, hold down shift, click the last one, and I'm going to copy the whole lot across into this document. Do I want to overwrite the existing style entry? Yes to everything. I can close this. And what I've done is I've reset my level 1 heading. So if I now go in, my level heading, you will often find that it will say select all, no data. it will let you select it. If I click it again, you should be able to then go through and reapply it and correct the whole document. It's done it a little bit further up. And it reapplies it to the whole document. If I select this one, level 2 number, again, it's corrected it because I nuked it or overwrote it. Select all of them, reapply it. Oops, let's just jump back up to the top of the document. And it corrects it rather than you having to go through manually select them all, reapply it. But that is the thing that is the sort of the do's and don'ts of using that option is, one, you do need a preset template. Let's just open this up. So things to remember: style import, it resets the rules, it doesn't fix behavior, and often the structure will still need attention afterwards. But what it can save you is an awful lot of time of having to manually go through and reformat. If you know I've got a template where my heading numbers are correct, my subclause numbers are correct, you can re-import those styles, overwrite what's in there. It will save you an awful lot of time of correcting it. There may still be some bits to repair, but it will save you an awful lot of time. Okay. So that is sort of the nuclear option of, it looks like it should be right. The styles I'm expecting all exist, but at some point somebody's gone in and changed them. What you can do is, if you've got a proper standard copy, you can re-import them and actually say, just overwrite everything that people have changed with my styles that I know are correct. Okay. One other one is, I'm guessing that quite a lot of you will have heard of a tool called Format Painter, which sits under the Home tab up here in the top left corner. And people will very often say, if you've got a nightmare document, the Format Painter is a really quick and easy way of fixing it. Now, there are some truths and some myths regarding the Format Painter. So let me just bring up a slide to show you. So, Format Painter, myth versus reality. The myth: Format Painter just copies the look of text, which is the general misconception of it. The reality is, the Format Painter copies absolutely everything. So if there is a style, it will copy it. That's the good side of it. If you've selected a piece of text that is formatted in the right way, using the correct style, it will copy that. The downside is, it will also copy any direct formatting that's layered on top of your style. Any spacing before or after that's been applied on top of the style. Any indents that have been changed. The numbering behavior. And your table of content properties. So as long as where you're copying from is absolutely correct, Format Painter is a really quick and easy tool. You just do need to be careful of, it will copy all of this other information as well. So in a nutshell, if the put my teeth in and try again. If the source text is wrong, the Format Painter will spread that damage throughout your document absolutely perfectly for you. So let me just escape out of here. So for example, what I will do, if you've not used Format Painter, so I will go to here and I'm going to set this as level 2 heading. I'll set it as italic and underlined. So using Format Painter, so my clause 3 heading, that's exactly as it should be. Arial bold, it's font size 11, it's numbered. If I click anywhere within this text, I can click the Format Painter. I can then go and select rent. It copies everything about this. So it removed the italics, the underlined, the level, it's moved it back to level 1 heading. The only thing is, it switched itself off. So what you can do, and I'll just quickly break this, level 2 number, let's do level 2 number, and I'll leave that one as it was. So if I go back, click into my term of lease. So it's formatted correctly. It's using the correct heading. With Format Painter, if you double clicking it will let me select this. With the double click though, it leaves it switched on. So I could then go through my security deposit. Actually, I'll say repairs and maintenance should have been as well. My new text should have been a new heading. And you can literally, you can scroll through and you can reapply it wherever you need it. Thing to remember is go back and click it again to turn it off. But it works with any. So for example, level 2 number is correct. Click in any paragraph that is formatted absolutely correctly with the correct style. Double click Format Painter. I can work through my document and I can reapply that numbering that I need to wherever I need it. That's not quite right. Oops. And just remember, turn it off again once you've finished. So in some ways, the Format Painter, it absolutely is a fantastic tool. It is the thing of just be very careful that you haven't selected some direct formatting or something that's not formatted with the correct style. Let's just reset that back. Okay. So that is our formatting, correcting the nightmare document. As I say, the first thing to do is to go through, double check on your styles, reapply the correct styles and your numbering. Without that, you're just creating more work. Once you've done that, then you can go through, correct your cross-references and update them, update your table of contents, etc. But it is a case of the first thing that you need to do is either go through and delete anything that's not needed, but correct those styles and numbering before you carry on with anything else. Okay. Any questions that have come in that we haven't covered? There was one that I will just touch on, which was about page numbering in PDFs. This is something that I do get asked a lot. It does link in with Word up to a certain extent. If you are creating something like a court bundle, when you create your PDF, if your document has got page numbering in it, when you convert that across to PDF, that page number just becomes static text. So if you join up 20 different documents and they all start at page 1, your PDF will still all start at page 1. Two options. One is get a PDF editor like Adobe Acrobat Pro or similar and go in and change it. Alternatively, the answer would be go back to the original Word document and correct it in that before you convert it to PDF. Once it's converted to PDF, that page number is no longer a field, it's just a static piece of text. Okay, any other questions come in, Helen?
No, we don't have any questions. So unless somebody is about to fire one in, feel free to do that just whilst we close. I think that's it. James, thank you very much. That was extremely helpful. It's fair to say that I definitely fall into that category of person who started using Word many, many years ago. But it's probably fair to say never had any formal training, and particularly for these sorts of documents. So really, really helpful to to have that styles pane and understand it. No, just got a comment from somebody saying excellent webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Which is lovely to have. Thank you. I'm really glad. It doesn't surprise me that it has gone down so well. I found it incredibly useful. So anybody else, unless there's anything else, I think we will call that a day. Not a question, but has been a real game changer. I think
brilliant.
A lot of people have learned a lot today. Yeah, I mean, it really just shows. I was looking at this and just the level of skill it takes to understand all of this, and I was just reflecting and thinking, in a world of AI and whatever, actually, it's you know, there's still a lot of knowledge that comes with this.
There is absolutely, and one of the things with certainly with AI is AI doesn't know whether this should be clause 4, 4.1, 4.2. It does take that human interaction to know
Yeah,
actually that's not in the logical order. Word, when you're using things like Format Painter, it's a typical example. AI would be the same. I've done what you asked. Yeah, but it now doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
It needs that human interaction to tell it this is what it should look like, and for you to wrestle control of it back again.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully that should give us all a little bit of comfort when we worry about these things. But James, so I think let's have a look. One thing coming. Series of sessions have been brilliant, including today. So fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody, for your feedback on that. As I said,